Hi there, good afternoon everyone. My name is Bruce Edhouse. I'm the Managing Director for EMEA for FIREapps. And we're going to be talking about reducing FX volatility in the P&L, why we do it, who it's for, what our target market is, and exactly why we exist and why we're important in the FX management space. So a quick piece about FIREapps itself and where we hail from. So our main office is in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have around 160 clients globally. 35 of those in Europe. We have offices in London and in Frankfurt within Europe. Why do we exist? We exist to help organizations better understand currency risk and improve financial results. How do we do that? We make sure you understand exactly where your exposures are and give you access to those exposures at the right time. So rather than having late exposures, rather than having incorrect exposures, if you have the right exposures, you can then have confidence in your data, you can have confidence in the hedging. We believe that corporate FX starts with FIREapps. So you have your ERP system, you have your Treasury management system, and in between sits FIREapps. What FIREapps does is it delves deeply into your SAP, into Oracle, into all the different ERP systems, and brings that data to you in a real-time basis. So if you understand your currency exposures, you tend to hedge more, you have confidence in that data. We also have a data integrity tool, meaning that if the data is incorrect in SAP and Oracle and all of these systems, we can make that available to you and show you where that incorrect data is and help you to manage that. There's a number of different products we have within FIREapps, but really our key here is to help corporates reduce the EPS at risk and therefore overall shareholder value, and EBITDA at risk. So operating profit, how much is at risk from currency fluctuations, and if we had more confidence in the data, would we tend to hedge that more? Would we tend to know what we're doing from a currency volatility perspective? We can see here we're the most deployed FX management system globally. Who are our target markets? It's corporates. It's corporates that have any foreign exchange exposure from a small company. So if we're looking just domestic companies, probably not our target market. Multinational, global companies that have exposures in different countries. Some people think that intercompany payments and receivables, if you've got an intercompany, you have no exposure. Obviously that's incorrect. We're all intelligent people here. You have exposure in the functional against that functional currency, and we help you to bring that data alive and help you to manage that. So we call it our brand compass. Right at the center of our brand compass is confidence. As I mentioned, you need to have confidence in your data. If you have live exposure data, you know exactly where your exposures are, you're going to have a lot more confidence in the information. We have tools that can help you to manage that. So I'm going to go through a business case calculator as we go through this presentation, and you'll be able to see exactly how that works and how we can provide you with that confidence in your data. We have insight. We have ability to run trend analysis. We do currency analytics. So if you knew about your exposures now, how were they different from last month? How are they different from last year? Is that the right sort of exposure to be managing? And if we had that information and we had it real time, would we be hedging more? Would we be hedging different types of currency pairs? We then also help with the automation. So if we look at a complete workflow with some of our clients, we go from ERP system to FIREapps to your execution platforms. So whether that be 360T, FX All, Treasury management systems, we can provide that full end-to-end process and end-to-end workflow. And we do that with lots of our different clients. So this slide's just showing how we generate the confidence. We take all the information from the source systems, so from ERP data, from all the exposure management, possibly exposures are sitting within source systems, billing systems, invoicing systems. We can delve into those at the transaction level, bring them available to your level, so you can then put them in our Flex engine and do some analysis, some data analytics to be able to present them in a nice format, BI tools to be able to show you exactly where the exposures are and how we're going to manage those. The solutions that we have. So up till now, I've talked about our balance sheet exposure analytics. This is looking at your monetary assets and liabilities. Where are they sitting? Because from an accounting perspective, if we're talking about long-term assets and liabilities, when they get revalued or if they're not hedged, that will go to a part of equity. That's managed by the accounting team, but it will go to equity. We're talking monetary assets and liabilities, so accounts receivable, accounts payable, intercompany. If they are not hedged, if they get revalued or remeasured into the functional currency, they will then go straight to P&L. And a lot of corporates don't realize that there's P&L risk sitting there that's being exposed by not hedging these. And we can give you those confidence to bring that information to the forefront and help you to hedge it. Before we get to the balance sheet, what's sitting there? What is our currency revenue and expenses? So we have income statement analytics, basically looking at in currency form. What were my revenue and expenses last year? What were they the year before? So we can do an analysis of your cost of goods sold. We can do an analysis of your income statement, because once you understand what currency everything's sitting in, it's going to help you to have more confidence in that data going forward. And our other key is cash flow exposure analytics. So we have the what's sitting in the balance sheet now, which is where we've come from, which is where we have focused our attentions for the last 10 years or so. We're now looking at what's going to happen in the future. What are my cash flow exposures, and how am I going to put a hedging program in place? So we have a cash flow exposure tool looking more at the economic exposure. A slight chart here will show how currencies have moved. A simple euro-dollar currency in the last month, or just over the last month, you can see how much fluctuation there's been in that currency. If you weren't hedging that currency pair, you could then, you might take advantage from a shift down and everyone's happy. CFO's not going to be happy if it goes up again the other way. Suddenly you've got remeasurement risk. Suddenly it goes to the P&L and there's questions asked. So we see here that all of the time. Well, it's good when we're in the good times, when the currency's going the right way. When it goes in the wrong way, that's where you need FIREapps. You need to be able to manage and know where your exposures are. So as I've mentioned before, we're looking at accounting versus economic risk, and FIREapps can deal in both of those. So the economic risk, looking at our cash flow exposures, capturing the cash flow exposures, giving these subsidiaries a tool that they can be accountable for. So where are my exposures in the future? If they were to change by a certain percentage, Treasury are going to know. We're going to send real-time updates to Treasury, to the CFO, as to why those exposures may have changed. And allow you to get a lot more accountability within cash flow exposure management. And from an accounting currency risk, when we're looking at booked exposure, that's where we're talking about balance sheet exposure. And what are the monetary assets and liabilities, and what's sitting there now? Why is that important now compared to the planned exposure? Because now is what's hitting our P&L. Now is what the CFO is going to be asking, well, why did we not know about this? Why did we not hedge this? So some workflow possibilities, just a quick run through the workflow. FIREapps sits here, ERP system. We delve into the ERP system, grab all the exposures out. We go into the billing systems, we go into invoicing systems, and then we can pass trades for execution to a trading platform. Because we do all the decisions, we help you to manage exactly where those decisions are. Trading platform through to TMS, or in a different sense, I thought I had another one in there, apologies, we can go TMS to trading platform. One of the screens and one of the key things when you're looking at your exposure is what we call our core analysis. So core analysis allows me to look at what is the value of all of my FX risk at the moment. It's 15 million. If we did nothing, we're exposed to 15 million of risk. What FIREapps can then help you to do is if we were to hedge these currency pairs, they have a positive interest income. So that doesn't cost me to hedge. You can say, well, this is actually going to be a gain to me to hedge. And therefore, I can come down to about 7 million of risk without having to pay out anything for the cost of hedging. If we want to come all the way down to a zero value at risk, then it's going to cost us. And that's where this type of analysis that we can run within FIREapps. We can also go through a business case calculator. So anyone that wants to come past the stand, we've run this on thousands of companies. And it allows us to see from publicly available data how much of your EPS, what is the current EPS, and how much of that EPS is at risk from all of our big data. So all of the analysis we've done in the past, we can come down to a very accurate figure of how much of your EPS is at risk, or your shareholder value. And that's important for a lot of clients that don't understand where that risk is coming from. Probably going to run out of time to go through this in detail, so please feel free to pop past the stand for that. I have a few screenshots here just to show you the type of system. It is very easy to use. I don't want to go into a full demo here, but some of the screens that we can run throughout FIREapps, and I'll just keep running these through, will give us an idea of some of the analysis we can run. So hedge coverage analytics, some dashboarding type tools. You can see exactly, so we are giving full confidence to that data, full confidence to your currency exposures. Once you have that confidence, you can then work through on the hedging side.